Today's video, which is inspired by two books, Charles Fillmore's book, Prosperity, as well as the book, The Kybalion, by the Three Initiatives, which I've been referring to over the last handful of videos and all throughout my videos, we're going to discuss ideas or vision. And we're going to look at it from the perspective of transcending reactivity, turning reactivity into proactivity, unnecessary tension and reactivity on the journey that we may experience, so we can be more understanding of ourselves in relation to our environment, in relation to whatever it is that shows up, and our vision, so we can experience more flow and, as a result, bring forth our success, whatever success means to you, from a place of understanding or flow. Flow essentially is integrating whatever elements show up in a way that allows you to work with it and convert it over to a outcome or opportunity, which is also very alchemical, transmutation. Now, ideas, these are the seedlings. These are the areas of our life that we want to understand further, as in understand ourselves further through the ideas. So what I mean by this is that when we receive an idea, hunch, or inspiration, it's important to see it all the way to completion, because what this does is it evolves our perspectives on reality, a journey, internal process of evolution. Charles Fillmore says, everything that appears in the universe has its origin in mind. Mind evolves ideas, and ideas express themselves through thoughts and words. Understanding that ideas have a permanent existence and that they evolve thoughts and words, we see how futile is any attempted reform that does not take them into consideration. One of the things that I had learned on this journey is that if we don't see our ideas into fruition, into completion, we may experience stagnation, or what Napoleon Hill refers to in his book Outwitting the Devil, drifting. We're not being as mindful or purposeful. Some might even call this procrastination. These are symptoms of not valuing the ideas. If you look at innovation, or if you look at anybody that has brought forth change in their life towards the positive or what they desire to see brought forth, they encourage this idea, a vision, something that they one day aspired to see brought forth. And ideas have this interesting way of revealing a journey from a place of flow. As in, if a person follows the curiosity of an idea, even if it seems like something that has never been done before, they go down an interesting journey, one riddled with synchronicities. Now, I'm going to speak from experience on this. Recently, I got back from Playa del Carmen, Mexico, as I had mentioned in the last video. And I had a synchronistic conversation while I was there. There was a woman sitting beside me at the cafe, and she was reading a public speaking book. So I turned over to her and I had a conversation with her because I also was releasing a video last week, which her and I were speaking on Tuesday of last week, on public speaking magic. And she actually brought up Dale Carnegie in the conversation. And I never heard Dale Carnegie's name mentioned in many years. She also said magic in the same sentence. And I said, synchronistically so, the video that I'm releasing tomorrow is on Dale Carnegie's book, Art of Public Speaking, as well as other public speaking book. And I really believe that this is all one mind externalized as individual minds. And the ideas we share are actually similar. And when we can see the integral nature of each person's perspective, we experience more synchronicities. But all of this happens as a result of seeing an idea all the way till completion. I value the information that I put out here, and I seem to receive hunches and inspirations within of what videos to discuss, what information to integrate and fuse together in conversation. And not only does it benefit those that watch these videos, but it also allows me to continue this journey of living life from a place of spirit of harmony, benefit for me, others, divine, and evolution. We speak about this. And interesting stories play out, like synchronicities, such as the experience I had with this woman. And also, to add, was Brian Scott. Some of you might know he has a channel in which he actually interviewed me. I'll put a link in the description if you haven't seen that, in which he reads various new thought books as well as various information from sources that he pulls together as part of his journey. And synchronistically so, he released on that day, and we had no communication regarding this, a video on the magic of service. And after listening to his video, which I'll also link in the description, I've seen the synchronicity. So what I was communicating in my video was this idea that public speaking or communication is the way, from my perspective, to help others achieve their vision. It's a service. And you receive compensation for it. You receive value for it. And you become more valuable. Because one of the things that we want to do is we want to not only have our ideas, but we want to communicate our ideas. And we do it through communication, words, or artistic expression, such as dance or painting, performing arts. If you look around our world, you'll see ideas being expressed through creative expressions. And so he states, ideas generate thought currents as a fire under a boiler generates steam. The idea is the most important factor in every act and must be given first place in our attention if it would bring about any results of a permanent character. So where is our mind going? We speak about maintaining the garden of mind, cultivating the garden of mind, and instilling within our mind thoughts of harmony, love, ideas related to our vision, evolving our self-image, evolving how we relate to people, environment, circumstance, and information, all within the mind. We just speak about this. What about our ideas? See, our ideas are seedlings, and they contain within many instructions. As he says here, ideas are centers of consciousness. They have a positive and negative pole and generate thoughts of every conceivable kind. Hence, a man's body, health, intelligence, finances, in fact, everything about him, are derived from the ideas to which he gives his attention. Key, derived from the ideas to which he gives his attention. Contained within an idea is many different related thoughts, interpretations, assumptions, perspectives. All of these are related to what a person truly desires to see brought forth. And this information that is contained within that idea saturates the mind, and what a person then notices is synchronicities, relationship to others, environment, so forth, experiences in life. And all of these things play out the theater in relation to the vision, and others seem to be in harmony with it. People show up in the most unexpected ways, communicating the same message, saying the same thing. You'll notice this more so as you maintain this encouragement of your own ideas. And that's what I would like to suggest, is to continue encouraging your ideas. What is your goal? What is your vision? What is the individual idea that you have? I encourage it. And one of the reasons why we want to encourage it is because there's a relatability between everybody's ideas. And there's synchronicity and connection between the different ideas. And although on the surface it may appear different, they're actually communicating the same essence, which is love. And that's what I enjoyed from Brian Scott's video, and I'll put a link in the description to it. That's what he's speaking about from his own perspective. When I had a conversation with this woman, she was speaking about her career in sales from her own perspective, and she was seeing it as a service to others, that what she was doing was connecting people with a service. And she made it her thing to invest time outside of her day-to-day work to further this relationship with her clients, her prospects, through the development and cultivation of the skill, in which the next day the video was being released. All synchronistically so. People showing up in the spirit of harmony, connecting and bringing forth a vision based on their ideas. And this is all mind. As he states, all is mind. Then the things that appear must be expressions of mind. Thus, mind is reality, and it also appears as phenomena. The isness of mind is but one side of it, Being is not limited to the level of isness. It has all possibilities, including that of breaking forth from its inherences into the realm of appearances. This is another way of saying how we refer to Neville Goddard's information. Everyone is you pushed out. Reality is you pushed out. Awareness pushed out is what we experience, as Neville Goddard also says, the screen of space. Mind has these two sides, being and appearance, the visible and the invisible. To say that the mind is all and yet deny that things do appear to have any place in the allness is to state but half the truth. Now this allows me to tie in nicely into the Kybalion, one of my favorite concepts from the Kybalion, polarity, law of polarity. And it is stated in there, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet, all truths are but half-truths, all paradoxes may be reconciled. Now, when we encourage our idea, we want to continue to dwell in that state of mind that is reflective, one with that idea. And then what we experience is related thoughts, experiences, synchronicities, environments, people that seem to contribute to bringing forth that vision, seeing that idea all the way till completion. One of the things that may happen on this journey is actually an opportunity, which we would call reactivity. See, I used to look at reactivity differently before. I used to see it as something that I would avoid. And it's not something that I actively go after, but if it does occur, it provides an opportunity to reflect on what I identifying with. Or as we state in the Kybalion, what are we polarizing to? So also, quote from the Kybalion here, it says, the Hermetic teachings are to the effect that the difference between things seemingly diametrically opposed to each other is merely a matter of degree. It teaches that the pairs of opposites may be reconciled, and that thesis and antithesis are identical in nature but different in degree, and that the universal reconciliation of opposite is affected by a recognition of this principle of polarity. The teachers claim that illustrations of this principle may be had on every hand, and from an examination into the real nature of anything. They begin by showing that spirit and matter are but the two poles of the same thing, the intermediate planes being merely degrees of vibration. They show that the all and the many are the same, the difference being merely a matter of degree, of mental manifestation, thus the law. Then passing on to the physical plane, they illustrate the principle by showing that heat and cold are identical in nature, the differences being merely a matter of degrees. The thermometer shows many degrees of temperature, the lowest pole being called cold, and the highest heat. Between these two poles are many degrees of heat or cold. Call them either and you are equally correct. The higher of 2 degrees is always warmer, while the lower is always colder. There is no absolute standard. All is a matter of degree. What this allows us to do is embrace a higher degree of nuance. One of the ways of looking at nuance is varying degrees. So you have a temperature, you call it hot. Then you have another temperature, you call it cold. And there's all these varying degrees in between hot and cold. And it can get hotter, it can get colder. Now this is important to us because each one of these varying degrees, when it comes to the world of thought, is what we could react to. For example, if a person is having a conversation with someone, and they say something in that conversation in which the person becomes reactive, they identify, as we've been discussing, with that reactivity, and they go into a different state of mind. And now from that state of mind, they begin to think differently, act differently, behave differently, interact with the person. If the person in front of them was once considered a friend, based on what that person had communicated, that brought forth a certain level of reactivity, the person can now be seen as a threat. It's the same person, although perspective has changed. But this wasn't a mindful perspective shift. This was a reactive perspective shift. And this is what we call opportunity. Why? Because when we maintain our ideal state of mind in relation to our vision, we encourage the ideas and we're able to see it all the way to completion from a place of flow. If we experience these flow breakers, such as seeing the conflict in front of us, we have to remember that the conflict is based on interpretation from within. And do we want the conflict on the journey to realizing our vision? So what do? We reflect, either in the moment or after the experience. And we say, what was the meaning that I was associating to the individual? What was the meaning that I was associating to what the person said that was revealed in my reactivity? And we change the relationship with this meaning. This is called the inner work, the inner journey, or as I like to call it, walking down the inner pathway. And it's an infinite pathway. And this opportunity of what shows up is actually something that levels up our IQ and EQ. We've been speaking about emotional intelligence. Put a link in the description to the discussion I did. I recommend reading the book, Emotional Intelligence. Well, emotional intelligence is being able to understand what the emotions are revealing in the moment, be it tension or reactivity. And it's not to shame or to be hard on yourself as a result of experiencing emotions that seem to bring forth a reactivity, but rather have a conversation with them. Now, I'm a very auditory person, so I'll tend to have a conversation with myself. And through the process, I'll understand what the meaning is. Or you can have a conversation with somebody who can help you understand. But doing this is part of this process, because what ends up happening then is we understand that we are reacting to a degree of the same thing. So when we say everyone is you pushed out, we are reacting to a degree of a spectrum in relation to the person based on this or that. For example, you might say if a person speaks about subject A, then I consider them to be a good person. And if they speak about subject B, then I consider them to be a bad person. Rather than saying that both subject A and subject B can be looked at from the perspective of in relation to your vision, in relation to their vision, and that we're going to arrive to a commonality and understanding between the two subjects and to be able to find the varying degree of where it connects. Now, this is why I encourage improving communication skills and developing sales skills. I know I say it a lot because here's the thing about it. When you're having a conversation with a prospect and they give you an objection and you react to the objection and you see them as, oh, they are not the right fit, the question we want to ask ourselves is that really true? Is that really true? Are they really not the right fit for the service that we know deep down inside that can benefit them? Or are we just arriving to this conclusion based on our reactivity? And so then what ends up happening is that through the cause and effect reflection and understanding within, and through practice, you actually know how to overcome that objection. You know what to say to them, said in a way that connects the two perspectives together. And now all of a sudden they see a parallel between the value that you provide and your product and service and the benefit that they will receive from it. And that is found in a nuanced degree between the yes and no. So on one hand, they were going to say no to the product or service. And in the ideal scenario, they would say yes to the product or service. But however, we know that in conversations, when it comes to sales, it's not always going to be a yes or no. The answer is usually, it depends. They will buy based on their ability to see and understand and feel and resonate with the connection between your product and service and the outcome that they desire, or they might not even know that they desire yet. But the bottom line is this. All of that is discovered by embracing that there are many degrees between two sides of the same coin. Now we're going to further discuss this because as a person embraces this, and we've been doing this all throughout our journey, this is not something that's new. This is how we develop a higher degree of emotional intelligence, a higher degree of intelligence in general, to be able to see the nuance distinction between what appears as two poles. And so they state, a knowledge of the existence of this great hermetic principle will enable the student to better understand his own mental states and those of other people. So, what do we do on the journey to bring forth our vision? Well, much of it may involve relating with, communicating, dealing with others. And that is really about understanding our mental states. And we also want to understand the mental states of others and their communication, their perspectives from those mental states. But if we hold on to rigidly to our own mental state and not see another person's perspective, understand it from their mental state, then it appears as conflict. But if we can adjust to a level of understanding of their mental state, then we can engage in a dialogue that will bring forth a vision in a mutually beneficial way. He will see that these states are all matters of degree. Very important. So we'll emphasize it again. He will see that these states are all matters of degree. And seeing thus, he will be able to raise or lower the vibration at will to change his mental poles and thus be master of his mental states instead of being their servant and slave. So valuing the nuance. So some practical ways that you can value nuance is to really enjoy and be deeply engaged with your day-to-day experiences. Every task that you do on your day-to-day work, every time you go for a walk, enjoy the walk. Instead of seeing it as a means to an end, see it as an experience that you can be more present to. When you eat food, enjoy the different tastes. When you drink a glass of wine, develop a palate. Same is to be said about maybe if you go to see some performing arts. Learn to value the nuances that go into the different aspects of the performance. One of the things that I really like to do is I like to study good business people. And I observe how they communicate about different aspects of reality, their psychology. And what I notice is that the ones that seem to have a very astute understanding, deep level of nuance, the different aspects of the journey, will reveal it in the way that they carry themselves and how they have the conversations. They seem to speak yes and rather than no but. I learned this from improv. I took improv many years ago, and one of the things that they taught us in improv is when you don't know what to say, when you're having an improv-based conversation on stage, simply reply with yes and, agree with the person and add to it. Now this yes and is actually in relation to the NLP concept. We've been talking about NLP in the last few videos of pacing and leading, which is very interesting. It is also what Stephen R. Covey said in his book, 7 Habits. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. And so we want to understand that perhaps the conflict is caused by inability to value the nuance. Understand that there's subtle perspectives, and we have the ability to tune ourselves to understand these subtle perspectives. Thus, going back to what we wanted to discuss in the first place, develop a greater ability to maintain the presence of mind, the ideal state of mind, as well as see our ideas all the way to completion. Because it's these reactivity-based experiences that seem to throw us off, that seem to create unnecessary stress, frustration. And these are experiences that could be changed in the mental plane. And in the Kybalion, they further state, and by his knowledge, he will be able to aid his fellows intelligently, and by the appropriate methods change the polarity when the same is desirable. We advise all students to familiarize themselves with the principle of polarity, for the correct adjustment of the same will throw light on many difficult subjects. So what we want to do is we want to dwell in our ideas. We want to live from that state of mind that is one with the idea, our vision. And if we experience tension and reactivity, we want to see it as an opportunity, so we can understand the nuanced meaning that will allow us to ascend past that reactivity so we don't experience it in that same regard again. And when we're communicating in some shape or form, or doing anything, any kind of creative expression, we can actually embrace the nuance a lot better because we'll understand what it means and we'll be able to work with it. And Charles Fillmore says, you will find that your ideas have broadened immensely, that your little limited world has been transformed into a big world. You will find your mind more alert, and you will see clearly where you were in doubt before because you have begun thinking about realities instead of appearances. See, you're looking beyond the surface level when you find the nuanced distinction within yourself. And it's like a whole world opens up again, or you see more, even more vividness in clarity. And as a result, you navigate from that perspective, being a person that everything you touch turns to gold. He says the consciousness of an omnipotent hand guiding all your affairs will establish you in confidence and security, which will extend to the body, welfare, and surroundings. There will be a lessening or entire absence of prejudice and fault-finding in you. So this is what we're talking about earlier. We understand what it is that we're experiencing and the conversations and the relations and so forth. And we look beyond the surface level to find deeper meaning, and thus our intelligence increases. And our ability to work with the nuances increases. And as a result, we produce more results. Our value goes up because what is a person of value? A person of value is a person that recognizes their own value and is able to see value where others might not see value. He says, you will be more forgiving and more generous and will not judge harshly. Other people will feel that there has been a change in you and will appreciate you more, showing it in many ways. They will be coming your way, being added unto you indeed according to the promise. He says, do not expect miracles to be performed for you, but do expect the law with which you have identified yourself to work out your problem by means of the latent possibilities in and around you. Above all, be yourself. Let the God within you express himself through you in the world without. And we've referred to this many times as infinite intelligence. Charge your mind with statements that express plenty. No particular affirmation will raise anyone from poverty to affluence, yet all affirmations that carry ideas of abundance will lead one into the consciousness that fulfills the law. So we've been speaking about this. Seek first the consciousness. So all of these things are designed to maintain that consciousness, the state of the feeling of the wish fulfilled, as Neville Goddard puts it, or the ideal state of mind, as we've been discussing, or as we've been reflecting off the Robert Dilts model, the identity that's one with the vision, or psychocybernetics, the self-image that's ideal towards the vision. And we're doing this by saying, I commit to my ideas. I encourage my ideas. And if reactivity shows up, that's fine. I'll understand what it means. I will find what it means. I have the capability to find what it means, whereas maybe before, one might have said to themselves, I won't find out what it means, or it means rejection, or it means failure. However, those are interpretations that we are assigning to the experience of reactivity, and we can change those interpretations. Rather see it as an opportunity. As he states, charge your mind with statements that express plenty. He says, deny that lack has any place or reality in your thought or your affairs, and affirm plenty as the only appearance. Praise what you have, be it ever so little, and insist that it is constantly growing larger. What are we doing? Well, a few things. Number one is we're encouraging the idea, the vision. Number two is, as he stated here, ideas are centers of consciousness. So we're expanding upon. As he says, ideas generate thought currents as a fire under a boiler generates steam. The idea is the most important factor in every act and must be given first place in our attention if we would bring about any results of a permanent character. So let's conclude this conversation with an affirmation. We'll say, I encourage my ideas. Ideas that are received within are able to be seen into completion more so automatically as I maintain my ideal state of mind. Thus, I make it a priority. And if I experience reactivity, I have the ability to understand the nuanced distinction, make peace with it, integrate it, and maintain my ideal state of mind if that circumstance were to occur again. As a result, my awareness increases, and I understand how everything in my reality is in harmony and in contribution to my vision. This increases each day as I continue down this path of encouraging my ideas. The encouragement of these ideas saturate my consciousness, allowing me to maintain that prosperity-based state of mind that will reflect in reality as my vision and my idea brought forth. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.